Welcome back to CultureCast, episode 15. I'm positive it's 15. If it's not, then I'm gonna play dumb because today was a heart attack game for the Seahawks, and I'm a bit foggy up there at the moment. But we've had a lot of stuff go down this past week in the league, surprisingly, because we've been talking about, every episode, it's, there's going to be a lull, there's going to be a lull. And then sometimes we have like spurts like this where some stuff goes down. There's some big things, like the Board of Governors meeting regarding resting players around the league. That's pretty major. We're going to be covering that first. The second biggest thing is Malcolm Brogdon's status in Boston is a little bit uncertain right now. Kind of crazy to think about, but that's some pretty major stuff because Malcolm Brogdon just won Sixth Man of the Year, one of the best backup point guards in the league, probably could start on a lot of teams. So his status being uncertain is pretty big, especially for a team like Miami, who's currently in a situation where they're kind of getting forced to potentially give up the farm for a guy like Damian Lillard. Or James Harden, so potentially having a guy that could still provide a lot for less money like Brogdon, this could shake up a lot of stuff regarding some trades around the league. Next, we're going to have the Spurs waiving Cameron Payne. That's going to be a pretty interesting situation, really good backup point guard for the Suns the past couple of years. The Spurs deciding to waive him, obviously they've got Trey Jones and a lot of young talent on that roster if they want to give some run time. So we were kind of expecting Payne to at some point either get traded or get released or bought out, whatever the case may be. So he's going to be a big player on the market. We've got the Kings getting rid of two of their centers, Neemias Queta and Nerlens Noel. Noel they signed like a month and a half ago, a little bit after the draft. Pretty interesting. They're getting rid of him. Recently we talked about the JaVale McGee signing they had. So it is opening a roster spot up here or two roster spots up here, but still kind of interesting to, just drop a guy you just signed. Granted, I think we'd agree that JaVale is probably the better player with more experience, more big time experience. So interesting there. We've got the Cavs signing Tristan Thopmson. That's, not too big, but could be a potential retirement thing where he wants to retire a Cav. We've also talked about kind of the Udonis Haslem role with him when we were talking about the biggest free agents on the market. Next, we've got the Los Angeles Lakers, Jarred Vanderbilt signing a 4-year, $48 million deal with them. That's big time. We've had a lot of great things to say about Vanderbilt. Lakers fans love him. Every team he's been for, the fans have loved Vanderbilt. He's just a hustle guy, does a lot of the small stuff, great rebounder, great defender. Interesting player, and he's going to do a lot for the Lakers for another 4 years. So that's pretty big there. And next, and last but not least, we've got the Warriors. Usman Garuba played with the Rockets, got traded to the Thunder. Usman Garuba, 6'8", kind of can guard every position, big time defender, just not really developed offensively, but he's someone where he's going to help with the front court depth for the Warriors, and he's going to do a lot of extra stuff. So, I don't want to quite get into it, but he signed a 2-way deal with the Warriors. And then Dwight Howard this week is set to meet with the Warriors, which is interesting. The Warriors have kind of been rumored to be interested in Dwight for the last couple of years. Nothing's really happened. Obviously, Dwight playing overseas in Taiwan the last year and a half. So, potentially signing him, that could be pretty big. Does kind of raise some questions about Trayce Jackson Davis, though, and what his role could look like should Dwight Howard get signed. But there is going to be a meeting there. So all in all, not too many big things happening, but still a lot of stuff going on around the league at the moment. Again, I think the biggest news here being Malcolm Brogdon, because that can shake a lot of things up with the Damian Lillard situation and the James Harden one. So we'll get right into it, opening with the NBA Board of Governors meeting that took place this past week. So on Wednesday, September the 13th, the NBA there was a vote brought up. Before the vote happened, the NBA Competition Committee asked for stricter guidelines on resting players on national games and resting multiple stars in the same game. Under the new proposed rules, teams would be fined $100,000 for their first violation $250,000 for their second violation, and $1 million more than the previous penalty for each violation moving forward. That's
Wow.
pretty hefty.
Yeah.
Before we get into what the vote came down to, what are your thoughts on this? What do you feel about the policy proposal? Are you for it, against it?
I
Just
am
overall
definitely
thoughts. Yeah.
I definitely understand it. I will say that. I don't know if I really have an opinion just as of yet, but I definitely say I understand it from a business perspective and how the NBA is perceiving it. And if you are a fan, yes, you are paying money to go see these players. And if they're not playing, what's the point? You're seeing something else that you weren't expecting to see. So I understand it from that perspective. And it's been happening a lot more and more so the last 10 years. It keeps going, it keeps growing. So this is like a roadblock for that to stop it. So maybe we'll somewhat reverse it and maybe find a middle ground for both, which I think would be perfect.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's what this does, is it finds a middle ground for resting players and having the ability to still have the same product that the fan deserves. So I think this is personally not a bad thing at all. I understand it 100%. And I do think teams will exploit it, and we will see. I think this will be an interesting first year of it. Or is it start this year or would it be next year?
I think this season.
Yeah, then we will see it, I think,
Yeah.
on full display this year. I wonder if any team will end up taking a fine or not. My bet
Yeah.
would be the
Yeah.
Clippers, but you never know.
Yeah, I think you made a great point earlier about the exploiting that teams will be doing with it. Because I'm not sure how like you're really going to be able to truly enforce that. I
Yeah,
mean, my guess is if they really wanted to like genuinely enforce this, there'd have to be like the league genuinely connected with the doctors around the
yeah,
league, like genuinely keeping tabs on who's really hurt and who's not. Because yeah, I didn't think about it before, but a lot of players, a lot of teams are probably going to try and, oh, I can't play. My leg, it's all
my
messed
ankle
up.
hurts.
And they're
I
like, they're
got my
perfectly
ankle
fine.
sore today. Yeah,
Yeah. Because we've heard Anthony Edwards talk about it.
yeah,
This is Michael Jordan's talked about it. Like, a lot of families or a lot of people that go to games, they're not spanking rich. They're,
yeah,
working class families, and they don't have this kind of, like buttload of money that they can just invest into a ton of basketball games. So they might get
100%.
to go to one game every year. And if that one game
Yeah,
they go to, you're just shitting everybody. Well,
that
that
that's
sucks,
tough. That's tough. Yeah, exactly.
that makes the viewing experience shit. That makes because as much as like I respect guys like Ty Jerome, I want to watch Steph. I don't want to watch Ty Jerome. I want to
Yeah,
watch the
I mean,
5 minutes that Ty Jerome is supposed to be allotted. But
100%.
yeah, so it does suck to see that, but I agree that it's a good thing to
Yeah,
implement. Um, my thoughts before the vote took place was I thought there's no way the governors vote yes on this.
yeah.
I thought there was no way because
I felt,
like
yeah,
they don't give a flying fuck about the fans having like they don't care
yeah,
if you're happy because they're investing so much money into these dudes. They do
yeah,
not want them to get hurt. I mean, you already see enough guys like Paul George and Kawhi. They're so injury prone. KD's been going through it. Steph gets hurt. Like the biggest names in this league, you do not want to see fall on the IL. So
yeah.
I thought for sure the board of governors would be like, no, 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 we got it. We want to keep doing this. So that was my initial thoughts. Is this is not going to happen at
Yeah,
all?
I don't blame you at all. I mean, I 100% agree with you. They do invest a lot of money into these guys. So at
Yeah,
the end of the day, I wouldn't be surprised if they just said, fuck the fans and
try to
go with the,
exploit it. Yeah,
yeah.
that's. I
I
think
mean,
you're probably right there that they're going to exploit it, and the
oh, yeah.
voting yes is just like a kind of a technicality. But
I think at
yeah.
the end of the day, a lot of these rules, I think the Suns, Clippers, teams like that will definitely exploit it.
Yeah, Warriors, Lakers, like they've got a lot of these teams have injury prone dudes, and
Big time.
I don't think they want to play them unless they absolutely have to. So,
Exactly. Yeah,
um,
I'm with you on that 100%. I mean, yeah, if you see I'm trying to think, if you see the Wizards on your schedule, then,
yeah,
oh, LeBron
exactly.
had a sore ankle today, or like, I don't know. I understand it, but I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, it is tough for the fan.
Yeah. So, I hope, one of two things here happens. One, this works and players start playing, and we can see that, hey, these guys aren't as injury prone and fragile as we like to think, and they've been kind of bitching out of playing extra games because they don't want to hustle. That's the first thing that could happen from this. The second thing is a lot of injuries are going to happen, and that's not good. And I mean, I don't want to deviate too far into baseball, but with baseball, the pitching clock, the pitching clock implementation, a lot of pitchers have just completely gotten hurt, or their numbers are just all over the place because it's fucked with the routine that they've had for a long time, and it's rushing their bodies, and especially for the older guys, it's hard to keep up. It's hard to keep up. So, I hope that this doesn't impact guys' health at least too much, because, again, the last thing you want to see are just a flock of injuries happening across the league, genuine injuries because they just didn't get enough rest. So we'll see, but this feels like it's going to be one of two things, and I really hope it's the first. So to follow that, when the vote happened on the 13th this past Wednesday, the governors voted yes. They voted to actually implement this. And that's very interesting, because I, like you said, to me now, as of you telling me that, like, they're probably just like, yeah, but we're just going to exploit it. So sure, like, how are you going to check up on it? I don't know the fine details of the print. Maybe there is like a safeguard in place, just making sure that people don't exploit it. But right now, that's what it kind of sounds like to me, is this isn't a very serious thing. It's kind of just like, see, we're taking it seriously, when they're really not. So any further thoughts there? Yeah.
I mean, the only way I think you could realistically keep up with it is like I don't know if you know about UFC and USADA and how they keep up with the fighting pool with steroids and stuff for steroid testing. They send a doctor personally to the fighter's house. Like that. So I'm guessing maybe they send a doctor. The NBA sends their own doctor to an NBA facility to where the player is. I don't know. I don't think team doctors would be the most non-biased, trustworthy source. So I think maybe having like NBA doctors go out themselves and having no team affiliation whatsoever, I don't really know how else you could really not exploit it or find a way not to. That's the only thing I can really think of. There's a lot of stuff, because I know the Clippers do a lot of analytics based, like, health. They have like chips inside the shoes, the Clippers. It's like a really weird thing, and they like keep data on the players for the Clippers based on how they did that game. So I know there's a few games last year where they were mentioning Paul George didn't want to sit, but the team forced him to sit based on what it was saying from his chip. So it was like really weird. I have to read into it again. It was really odd.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Like, I'm kind of thinking of Moneyball. It's like we need to win this amount of, or we need to score this amount of runs to win this amount of games. So it's like, if we don't need you, then we don't need you. But that's very interesting about the team doctor, about the NBA doctor versus a team doctor. Again, something I didn't think about. Yeah, having a non-biased or an unbiased doctor come in there, and if a player's like, my ankle's hurt, and they're like, well, either you need to be in a healthcare facility because you're insane, or you're just lying, because there's nothing wrong with you. So
exactly.
Yeah, that's very interesting, and I kind of hope that happens, because the honesty here needs to. It can't just be like, be trustworthy. Teams will be like, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like I don't know, man. That's kind of a really hard thing to keep up with. But I think as time goes on, they'll probably find a better system to work with that.
Oh yeah.
But as of right now, I think the first year we will see a lot of exploited teams. I will say that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
so that's pretty big news there. That's gonna change a lot of things, and we'll see what happens. I'm 50-50 right now, on like what the result can be. It's kind of worrying, because a lot of players are no longer used to playing that heavy load of games. So, and I mean, again, the Warriors last season led the league in back-to-back games. Once again, they're leading the league. They have 15 back-to-backs. 15, dude.
It's the start of the season earlier, man, because that is a pain in the ass.
And their roster, like, everybody talks about, like, we've got all these young guys. It's like, dude, our starting lineup is old as shit. 35, 33, 34. Chris Paul's nearly 40. Wiggins is like 28, but he barely played last season because of his dad. Like, this is, I don't know. I'm worried. This worries me. I
It's a
see
lot,
the
man.
good in it, but it's definitely stressful. And like the fucking worst thing that I could think of is like going into playoff time and literally everyone is just gassed. Like
Yeah,
nobody's ready. Nobody can like physically keep up. So
yeah, no,
um
100%, man. That's a different aspect added to the postseason, possibly.
yeah. Well, I think it makes a team like OKC, for like you guys, some of these younger teams, I think it
The
gives you an
youth,
advantage.
yeah,
Yeah.
I
Because
agree.
you guys will be more than happy to play a 7 game series against a beat up old veteran squad. So
Yeah.
yeah, this is gonna change things a lot, I think. And again, I just hopefully, knock on wood, no one really gets hurt from this. So
I'm with you
um
on that, man. That is
yeah,
100% what I hope also, because yeah, that would be the opposite of what they're trying to do here. That'd be very,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, but to move on from there, uh, quickly wanted to get into Cameron Payne getting waived by the Spurs. The Spurs, like we talked about, they've got a lot of young depth, and Trey Jones is kind of the guy they're looking to go with for the future, or at least for now. So
Yeah.
it's getting rid of Cameron Payne makes sense. I am kind of like I thought they maybe would have traded him
Yeah,
at some point because Cameron Payne is definitely worth something.
definitely.
But they just opted to waive him. I
Yeah.
guess it makes sense. Maybe they're just cool with the squad that they've got and they don't want to bring in anyone else,
Yeah.
which I also get because, that was an issue that I felt with the Thunder is like sometimes you can have too many young guys.
Yeah. I'm with you
And
on that.
now you're just hurting everybody's progression. So Cameron Payne is officially on the market, and that's going to be an interesting player. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, man. I was also surprised they waived him. I swore he would have been a trade option, which I think a lot of teams are going to be very happy they don't have to trade anything for him. So
Yeah,
I'm interested in what team will sign him. I obviously think the Suns are out of the sweepstakes. I think the relationship's probably a little sour there. I remember he was
yeah,
a little surprised when he was traded. So I think the Suns are definitely out of the option there. I could, I mean, a lot of teams could use a backup point guard, man. You go back to Miami where depth could be a big issue there if this trade does happen with Dame. So
yeah,
something like that, maybe. I mean, he just has a very unique skill set. So it's kind of hard to think of teams, but I could see definitely Miami if that
yeah.
trade were to happen. So
I
you got
agree.
Gary.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe there's. I mean, he's still a very solid player. Like he offers a lot. He offers so much utility, so much. He can give you minutes off the bench. He can score for you. He's a solid playmaker. I mean, he's anything what you want nowadays for a prototypical backup point guard. He's a solid guy.
yeah,
It's kind of hard to think of teams on the top of my head, but I would definitely think Miami would be in the sweepstakes if a trade did happen for Dame.
yeah. They're an interesting team. I could potentially see Milwaukee. This is
Fair enough.
supposedly Drew Holiday's final season in the NBA, or
Yeah,
maybe
you're right.
next year. I don't remember. It's
That's a
one or
good
the
play. I
other.
think one of his contract's up, so I think 2 years. I think, and then he's done.
Yeah. And then
Quote
Javon
unquote.
Carter signed with the Bulls.
You're right.
So they're looking
You're
for
right.
a bat. The Bucks could use a backup point guard right now. And I think that
Oh,
Cameron Payne can add that. Plus, he's an outside threat.
yeah.
And you can kind of get downhill as well and make some things happen with Giannis or Bobby Portis. So yeah, definitely a good addition for a lot of teams. So I imagine his phone's going to be blowing up pretty soon here if it's not
It should.
already.
Yeah, I would think 100% with you on that because yeah, he offers a lot to a lot of teams. I definitely think
Yeah.
he will be a very valuable piece, and he will definitely be on the team before training camp.
Moving on, we do have the Sacramento Kings making some interesting moves. Nothing too crazy, but worth noting. Um, Obviously, they re-signed Niemis Keita at the end of last season, I'm pretty sure, and then went out and signed Nerlens Noel after the draft. I think right at the beginning of free agency. So uh, they made those two signings to really beef up their depth. I know they signed the Euro League guy. What was his
Sasha,
name?
uh,
Sasha something.
Bestinov or
Yeah.
something.
Signed him. I think he was the guy that won the Euro League MVP this past year.
He did. He did.
Yeah, he's a big man. I think a forward though, like power forward, center.
I
One of
think yeah,
those.
he's a I think I want to say yeah, he's like a power forward, small forward at times.
Yeah, okay. So it's still a relatively big body.
Yeah,
And then last week they signed JaVale McGee. JaVale McGee getting waived or cut by the Mavericks. Didn't have a great stint there, but the Kings went out and got him. Um, but decided to the other day cut Nerlens Noel and Neemias Queta. So those two are some pretty solid bigs. They're not fantastic, but Nerlens Noel, good, like just screen and roll big. Um,
yeah,
okay rim protector, not the best, but very athletic guy. I would think he's what 6'9", 6'10", but
yeah,
could jump out of the gym.
yeah. Definitely like he's definitely not the biggest, but he is like definitely 6'10", 6'9". Yeah,
Yeah. And Neemias Queta, again, we've talked about him. He's kind of an interesting build, kind of an
yeah,
interesting play style. Can kind of do a little bit of everything. He's not great at anything, but he can
yeah.
kind of do a little bit of everything. He sort of has a mid range, sort of has a little bit of a push game, can occasionally pull up for three, uh, can occasionally block a shot and grab a rebound. Sort of just a versatile big man. I think he's only like 6'10". I don't know if he's a 7-footer. I could be wrong there, but I think he's only like 6'10", six
Yeah,
eleven. So
I don't think he's a 7-footer.
yeah. So getting rid of them, that does open up a couple roster spots for the Kings. And we talked about how much like how improved their center depth was because rim protection was just such a big issue for them last season.
Yeah,
However, we could see them just all in all up their defense here with these two roster spots because even though I mean Sabonis has a lot of flaws defensively, it'll be interesting to see what the version of JaVale we could get here for the Kings. Um, I'm imagining they use these two signings to get some wing defenders, some two-way guys, to come in and play some versatile defense. Mike Brown is a defensive coach, so it was sort of out of
yeah.
the ordinary to see last season the Kings be so poor defensively. What are your thoughts? What do you have any ideas of what they could be using these spots for, and just overall thoughts?
Think you nailed it on the head, man. I think more defense is what they need and what they're going to go for. I don't think any more offense is needed. They have more than enough offense. We saw that last year on full display. They have the
Yeah,
best offense in NBA history, so they're perfectly fine in that category. They hold their own. So I definitely think it'll definitely be used defensively because I mean last year they were just a revolving door, and I mean it's tough to say, but they had a lot to be desired on that side of the ball. So I mean this year you're bringing in JaVale McGee. Yes, had a very poor season with the Mavericks, but he's going to fit in, I believe, a lot better with this team than he did with them. You have Colby Jones coming in as a rookie,
yeah,
supposedly a defensive stud. Like we mentioned, Keegan Murray. We'll see what his development is on that side of the ball. Maybe he had a lot to left to be desired last year, and he wasn't the greatest on that side of the ball. But maybe he'll come in more improved, more IQ in that region. I would hope so. There's a lot more. Adding that EuroLeague MVP is huge, and I do like it a lot. But I do think that is a lot more offense you were adding and not enough defense. So I think the
yeah,
rest of these spots are definitely going to be more defensive oriented because no team is ever going to be a playoff or win a playoff game or playoff series as a 15th to 20th ranked defense consistently. I mean, the Nuggets, even then, their defense in the playoffs is very improved compared to the regular season defense. The Kings, I can't really say so much. I mean,
yeah.
they played a great brand of basketball in the playoffs. They took the Warriors to 7, had a great series for their first playoff series. But I think they are starting to understand, hey, we always can't play at a fast pace. It's not always going to work that way. Sometimes you have to slow the game down, have it be a grind fest defensively. So I think getting in guys like this is definitely what they're going to need to take that next step forward.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, Keegan's development is going to be huge. I think lucky for him, Mike Brown has so many years kind of being able to help coach Draymond. So I'm sure
Great development.
a lot of stuff, a lot of
Yeah.
potential improvements we see from Keegan are going to be reminiscent of Draymond at that forward position. So yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. Another thing that I kind of just thought of is JaVale McGee played under Mike Brown, played for the
Yeah.
Warriors. So the
I think
system
that's
that the
another reason
Kings
why.
run, the
Yeah.
defense that the Kings run, I don't think JaVale's gonna have any issue sort of
Slot in perfectly
just
in Golden State.
exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the Kings I think should be entering the season as a better defense.
Yeah.
Again, it's gonna really depend on what these final couple roster spots for them look like, because if they decide to go more guards or if they go more big men, I don't know. I think right now we both agree here. You need wings. You need wings that can guard 1 through 3, maybe even 1 through 4. And there are a couple on the market. So it's where, I think the Warriors signing Usman Garuba was huge because the Kings could probably use an Usman Garuba. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here. I think we saw Justice Winslow enter free agency. He's a guy that I could see with the Kings. A solid defender, can occasionally shoot the ball. They just need that kind of wing. Yeah, exactly. So definitely an intriguing couple potential spots here for the Kings, but they are cutting Nerlens Noel and Neemias Queta, and both of those guys are again solid bigs in their own right. So we could see them on some rosters moving forward here. To move on from there, you've got the Cavaliers. Cleveland signing Tristan Thopmson to a 1-year deal. They're already stacked with big men. I mean, we know we've got Jarrett Allen. They've got Evan Mobley. They like the whole Twin Towers offense and defense. And I mean, granted, it didn't really work well for them in this past playoff. So we might see them stagger those minutes. In which case, the need for another big man is probably going to be even less needed. As far as I'm concerned, unless I'm wrong here, I don't think Mobley and Allen have had too many injury issues in Cleveland. I know Allen had the wrist thing a couple years back, but other than that, I think they've been pretty healthy.
Relatively healthy, yeah.
Yeah, so to me, the Thompson signing looks like a Udonis Haslem kind of thing, or potentially just like, hey, suit up one last time and go out with the bang, sort of deal. I mean, I guess Tristan Thopmson is considered a Cleveland great. He was on the LeBron finals team.
I guess, yeah.
So it could just be one last hurrah. So, I mean, what are your thoughts there?
I mean, I saw something he was mentioning and someone to do the dirty work, which I guess they don't have someone like that. And I mean, I think last year physicality was their biggest issue.
Yeah.
The Knicks. Physicality was their biggest issue, man. They got bullied by the Knicks. Julius Randle was bullying them. They had the Mitchell Robinson, Hartenstein, and Sims. Is it
Jericho Sims? Yeah.
Jericho Sims. They were all getting bullied by those guys, man. I mean, Mobley was he was horrible in game one. He's defensively, he was lackluster. Offensively, he was beyond lackluster. He had a horrible playoff series. And I understand it was his first one. And it was a very tough series for them to lose to the Knicks like that. That was devastating fashion. I believe they lost in 5.
Yeah, they really got outplayed there. And Brunson looked incredible. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, and they got demolished. I just think physicality was their biggest issue. One of their biggest issues. I'm not saying that was their only big issue. They had a lot, but I think one of their biggest issues is definitely physicality. And I think the big men they had kind of lacked that. And I think someone like Tristan Thopmson is willing to throw a body. He's willing to play good defense. Or not good, I shouldn't say that. But he's willing to play very physical defense. He's willing to do the dirty work that maybe those guys aren't willing to do. He's someone that can come in and give you 10 minutes. I mean, I think this is a very low-risk signing. I think it's fair. He's a veteran. He's had great things said about him by multiple teams. So I think there's nothing wrong with this. I think this is very solid for a young team like the Cavs.
Yeah, I think also, I mean, he played great in that Denver series. I mean, he was one of the lone bright spots for the Lakers in that Denver series. Kind of matched up well with Jokic, surprisingly.
Yeah, at times he did, yes.
Yeah, even against the Warriors, put in some good minutes. So I don't think Tristan Thopmson is like, I don't think he's washed. So
no, he has a role. He has a role to be played. Yes,
he could definitely provide something here for the Cavs. It's gonna depend. I mean, I think you're talking about it's only one of their issues. I think their biggest issue is spacing. Getting guys that can space the floor. Karis LeVert, not too reliable a 3-point shooter.
No.
Just running 2 bigs nowadays. I mean, we see how, especially because Mobley and Allen, it's not like Cat and Gobert. Cat can space the floor. You can just say
play styles offensively.
Yeah, they're both rim runners. I mean, Mobley's got a little bit more of an offensive game to him. Yeah. But it's nothing like, and then they're not spacing the floor too much. So it gets pretty clogged. We know Darius Garland loves the whole pick and roll, get to the floater. And Donovan Mitchell, he likes to ISO, pick and roll, get it to the cup. So Getting themselves some floor spacers, I think, is going to be
Yeah.
pretty big. So the Tristan Thopmson signing, it's interesting. They did need the rim protection and the physicality, and the mentality is a big thing, and I think Tristan
Yes.
can help with that.
Very
So
different one. Definitely. I
yeah,
mean, I personally I love their roster going into last year. I thought it was a very fun team. It was fun to see that old style basketball being played, but at the same time, I understood that spacing is going to be their biggest issue, and I think it just
yeah,
came to bite them in the back. And I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think they end up finishing with Jarred Allen at the end of next year. I don't think he stays. I
yeah,
think that it's a
100%.
move to keep Donovan. I don't see them retaining both of those guys. I personally think Jarred Allen's probably the odd man out the door. I think also Garland, he disappointed me in the playoffs. I expected a lot more out of him offensively. He didn't really step up to that second option. So I mean, we'll see where they go from there. I did really like them bringing in Strus. I thought that was
Yeah.
a nice spacer to bring in instead of I can't think of it.
What?
We talk about him all the time. Spurs. And
Lamar Stevens. Yeah.
Lamar Stevens. Lamar
Yeah.
Stevens was
Bring
not
him
a great
back.
fit.
Yeah.
We knew that. I mean, he was not a good shooter. He's a great defender, not a good shooter. I mean, but you bring in Strus, someone who can light the three up. So I mean, I think that's an interesting signing to put along them. But I still think they have a lot of question marks for me to be seen.
Yeah, and I think another big thing with Garland is, and we've talked about it so much with guys like Luka and Trae Young, it's like if your game is so heavily predicated on pick and roll,
Yeah.
the playoffs are just always not nice to you. They just never are. It's not in today's game, it's just not a viable way to win. You need more to your offense. You can't, especially because Garland's not Luka. Garland's not Trae. Garland is not sitting there putting up 30 points, shooting the shit out of the ball. Like Garland is a very Steve Nash kind of like
you're getting an
crafty player.
Points. Yeah, you're getting crazy efficient, but you're not getting anything else. He's a very, very heavy reliant on pick and roll basketball. And like you said,
getting that floater, getting to the cup. Yeah.
There's other ways you have to score. I think someone like Garland maybe has to take that next step for them to see any success wanting to be a contender. Because as of right now, I'm not really favorited on them. I think they're a very good regular season team. No issue.
Yeah, exactly.
They're a top 3 team in the East. No doubt in my mind they're a top 3 team in the East regular season wise. But as of right now, there's a lot for me to be seen to change my mind.
Yeah, they need the shooting. They need guys shooting the ball. And I agree that Jarred Allen might be on the chopping block, but I think so is Mobley. I think it could be either or. Yeah, exactly. Mobley does have a high ceiling, but Jarred Allen is a fantastic rim protector. Better. I mean, I know Mobley had a fantastic defensive rookie year, but he definitely had a lackluster second season. So it's gonna be a big prove it year here for Mobley, and for Jarred Allen, it's just all about consistency and keeping things going. Because, like you said, it might be Donovan or Jarrett. You're gonna have to pick the contract because more and more guys are gonna be coming up, and Darius Garland might also be on the block. So it's an interesting spot here for Cleveland because their window is, I think, predicated on Donovan Mitchell more than it is Darius Garland. So
I'm with you on that. I think they have a really weird situation. I thought they were one of the younger teams that were bright future, but right now
it looks like it's a tight window. Yeah,
it's looking kind of bleak. So I mean, I'm interested to see that. But no, I definitely agree with you on that. You have to keep Donovan Mitchell, man. He played so well in the playoffs. It was not his fault whatsoever. He did everything he could. Yeah. This whole year, he was even great on defense. He played a hell of a way improved variant of defense. I understand he's probably being hidden more. He has 2 rim protectors behind him, so I understand it's probably played a lot different. But I mean, the effort he was playing on defense this year compared to the years on the Jazz, props to him, man. He really changed my mind. I was never a very big fan of Donovan Mitchell before this year. He's changed my mind completely. He's a great player.
Yeah, and especially because we never really saw the Jazz have a lot of perimeter defense. It was always kind of just like guys fall and then it's right into Rudy. Yeah. They've got, Cleveland has Okoro. Okoro hasn't taken that next step offensively, but they've got some defenders. I mean, Karis LeVert can kind of hold his own. He's okay enough on defense as a wing. And now you've got Strus who can hold his own. So yeah, they've got the depth there, but you're definitely going to need that floor spacing. An interesting thing I'm kind of thinking about with Garland is maybe we see a potential Garland to the Celtics for Brogdon and, someone else, maybe picks and, who knows?
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, because we'll be getting into the Brogdon situation shortly. But yeah, Brogdon, I think, kind of fits a little bit more what Cleveland needs. I don't think you need another guy who wants to, hey, move, pick and roll, come
Yeah.
up. I think Garland's or Brogdon's someone who's like, yeah, I'm just gonna sit back on the 3-point line. Donovan, you cook if you hit me. I've shot 40% from three multiple times in my career. I'm a catch and shoot guy. Um, and I just, they kind of need the floor spacers. So this is definitely going to be an interesting year for Cleveland, for sure. Moving on from there, you've got the Lakers and Jarred Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt, one of the best role players in the league. I think it's pretty consensus opinion here. Pretty stellar defender and one of the best offensive rebounders, but just rebounders in general as a non-center. Signing here with the Lakers on a 4-year, $48 million deal. I've got nothing but great things to say about him. What are your thoughts here?
That's chump change for someone like that, man. That is very, very genuine nice deal for the Lakers to have. There's another flexible asset they have. Hey, if you need to make more, that's just another thing they can trade, man. That's insane to me that they got him for $12 million a year. That is,
yeah, they're signing all these
crazy
dudes on great deals. Like Gabe Vincent, great deal.
I mean, they have so many assets now that they can just ship away for great prices, man. I mean, like you said, nothing but great things to say about Vanderbilt, man. He knows his role and he plays it damn well. He is a phenomenal rebounder, hustle the hell on the defensive side of the ball. Yeah. And at times, I do wish he was a better cutter. Very great cutter, but I think at times I would want to see more from him offensively, obviously. But I mean, you can't ask everything out of someone like that. He's very limited on offense. We know this, but he still plays such a pivotal role for that team. So, I mean, at the end of the day, you don't really care about his offense, just how great he is.
I definitely agree. He could kind of get complacent sometimes shooting the corner three where you'd rather see him kind of like inch in towards the hoop, especially because he's such an athlete. He could get guys to jump and get guys to foul him. So, I think a big thing improving his game could be the playmaking. And just reading the defense a little bit better because those cuts can turn into wide open threes for guys coming off of the wing. So it's gonna be a great year for Vanderbilt. And again, just how the Lakers are getting these guys on such team friendly deals is fucking annoying.
Them under the table, man.
I know there's got to be something. It's like I can't believe they're doing this. It just makes no sense.
I couldn't tell you after seeing that Reeves one. I was like, okay,
yeah, whatever. It's like. How is it that we're seeing like Jaylen Brown make $300 million and then Austin Reeves? It's like I don't think Austin Reeves is making that kind of money at all. But like someone playing like Austin Reeves right now, just because of the hype around him, like 100% you'd be expecting him making at least $100 million. And the fact that he got it for 56 is like, oh my God, dude.
I don't get it, man. I mean, I'm really guessing destination is all it is. I mean, location is the only reason, man, because I guess you want to be in LA, but at the same time, man, you are getting paid pennies on the dollar compared to other small market teams that would be paying you so much more. But I can't hate on it, man. They're going for a win there, man. They're going all in there, and I respect that. They have hell of a team in LA right now, man. They got a squad. And Vanderbilt, just another asset you can keep who will provide great production for you, or you can trade him away and get a great asset for him. I mean, the options are unlimited with that, man. They have a lot of great contracts they can move around. Smart, very smart offseason, man. Nothing else to say, man. They got it. They got it on lockdown, man. They're very smart.
Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy to think that just like before the trade deadline, I mean, like this is September, like 8 months ago, that team looked dead in the water where it was like they might be rebuilding in the offseason. It might be like Anthony Davis gets traded in the offseason. And then they just like their trade deadline was incredible. And they've just completely 180'd here. And then the offseason on top of it, like, look, man, I mean, we're both baseball fans. It's like, this is what Dodgers fans do as well. Or the Dodgers do as well. It's like, every time you think they're out of it's like, finally, it's done. They're done. It's over with. They're free agents. I mean, their farm gets some stuff. Like, they're just able to sign any and everyone. It sucks, man. I don't know how they do it. It's only the LA teams. Yeah.
I know. It is ridiculous, man, because the Dodgers obviously have been doing this for 10, 11 years now. But
Dodgers and Lakers just keep making these deals. It's like
they don't go away, man. They don't go away.
Every time
Yeah.
you think they're fucking out of it, they just get
Yeah.
right back in, dude.
They
It's
get
like
right back in there.
stay
They open
just
the door.
stay down. It's like that scene in Avengers where he's like where Iron Man's like punching the Hulk, like go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep. And he just
Yeah.
doesn't. So
Yeah. I mean,
congrats to Lakers fans. Fuck all of you, but
yeah.
congrats. You know,
You
must
guys,
be nice.
you guys have a nice squad over there, man. I have nothing but good things to say about your offseason. You guys did
Yeah.
very well.
And like you said too, like at the very least, like these are great trade assets because I
Oh my
mean
God.
they
Yeah.
could potentially walk in if they like let's say they just have
Oh,
a dumpster fire season. Well, you could just fire sell everybody, replenish your draft capital. I mean, like they've just walked into the perfect scenario of
yeah.
like, I don't really care what happens this year. We could win or lose, but either way, we're gonna get better as a team. So yeah,
I mean,
crazy
yeah.
offseason for the Lakers, man.
They're one of the biggest well, quote sports betting wise, they're one of the better teams right now, odds wise, to land Trae Young, I guess is what
Oh, really? Wow.
they're one of the better teams. Yeah. So that's something I don't know. I don't
I don't
think
like
it'd
the
be
fit.
I don't like that fit at all. But I'm guessing maybe something were to happen. I have no idea.
Yeah, Dame I like better in LA just as a fit wise, but yeah, no, they've got it all right now, so it's going to be
They
interesting to see,
do.
I think, but they've got now the expectations are back. You know, every year the Lakers have high expectations, but the
Yeah.
last couple, I
This
think
year,
at
yeah.
least NBA fans have been like, y'all aren't doing anything. Like, why are you guys hyped? They felt like a Cowboys fans thing where it's like every year they think they're winning the Super Bowl. And then the rest
Yeah.
of the league is like, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
But
literally.
now it feels like,
No,
you know,
they're
they're
one of the
back.
favorites, man. They're one of the favorites for sure.
Yeah. To move on from there, we've got the Warriors. The Warriors shockingly made some moves and are making moves right now. The Warriors signed Usman Garuba, second year or third year player. Recently was with the Thunder, came in a trade from the Rockets where he'd been playing the last season or two.
Yeah.
6'8" forward, like fantastic defender, can kind of guard all five. Good front court depth, but a great perimeter defender. Uh, that's an interesting move for the Warriors. Two-way contract. I think he's going to be very integral to this team. The Warriors are going to love him. I mean, just watching some of his highlights, like defensively, man, this dude's a genuine stopper.
Yeah.
The offense, I mean, he technically shot, I think 40% from three. It was, I think over his career. I could be wrong there. His form is yeesh, but he's made some shots. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to be a big 3-point threat for the Warriors, but a EuroLeague guy, you could tell with the passing. I mean, Athletic
Spain,
Alchemy
right?
talked about it. Yeah, Spain played in FIBA tournaments, which is how he
Yeah.
got drafted so high.
He just played it too.
Yes, he did, and
Yeah.
didn't look too bad.
No, not at all.
Yeah, good rebounder again, could guard 1 through 5, and the playmaking is a lot better than you think. I mean, like anytime we get a center, anytime we get some sort of defensive guy, my first thought is Draymond is going to help this guy so much. You know,
Yeah.
we've seen so many forwards come in, and you could just see the impact that Draymond makes, and just helping them kind of understand the floor better. And I think again, Garuba, you know, coming from EuroLeague ball, I think the Warriors system is going to be easy for him. It's just like this is a very pass first oriented team. A lot of setting screens, a lot of cutting to the rim. It's a high IQ kind of thing. The Rockets did not play that kind of basketball. The Rockets played very like high school, you know, fuck it, take a shot kind of thing. So I think this is a great situation for Garuba. And you know, if I'm Jonathan Kuminga, you got better watch your back, bro. Kuminga's a great player. But I think Garuba, you know, he could potentially be stealing some minutes here. And that's going to be pretty interesting. What are your thoughts there on Garuba?
Yeah, so I think this is a very good depth signing. I mean, last year we saw Wiggins miss a lot of games, man, and he's a pivotal part of your guys' perimeter defense. I mean, he is a phenomenal defender. Obviously, the offensive production will not be there. Obviously, we know that he will not replicate the Wiggins type offensive game. We know this, but the defense, it's there, man. So I mean, someone like this, having that wing defender, someone like his size too, I think it's a very smart signing. Just seeing how many games Wiggins missed last year, it's a very big signing. And I think having a bigger front court depth is a beautiful thing to have for someone like you guys who run a very small brand of basketball at times. So I think I like it as I very low risk again. I have no issue with low risk signings. I don't think there's any issues with them ever really.
Yeah, and I just love it for the versatility.
Yeah.
He's got a 7'3" wingspan. And this is going to be big for the rebounding, an issue that the Warriors have struggled in for a few years now. Just losing that depth at center, Kevon can only do so much. And the fact that he's a dude who's averaged like 20 rebounds multiple times in playoff games, like it's just shocking. So to get another guy that could come in and provide that spark off the bench and has that high motor defensively on the glass, makes the smart reads. It's going to make things so much easier. And again, if Chris Paul could just not be a bitch and just go to the fucking bench, Garuba is going to be a great help for Chris Paul bench. So, definitely a big signing. And to continue with the Warriors kind of making moves here, they will be meeting this week with Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard, obviously a Hall of Fame center, one of the best of his generation, if not the best in that era. Dwight Howard, the last year and a half or so, maybe two, has been playing overseas in Taiwan. But the last couple of years has kind of been rumored with the Warriors. There was that infamous Instagram Live where he talked about wanting to play for the Warriors and asking the Warriors, give me a call, never happened. Unfortunately, Dwight Howard has some personality baggage to him. Teams are still kind of like, which I don't really understand. I mean, Dwight Howard, his years with his couple years here with the Lakers were incredible. Like Dwight Howard is really good. I mean, I don't know why it's the same with DeMarcus Cousins. Like he still gets the stigma of what he was on the Kings, and it's like that's not fair. Look at how he was with the Nuggets. So but I'm interested in the Dwight Howard signing. I don't know if I'm a fan of it per se because I do want to see Trace play a lot. I think Trace has a lot of offensive upside as a passer, as a roll man. And I want to see him get minutes. Also, it could rob Kuminga's minutes and potentially Garuba, because Garuba is someone that I could see like quickly getting signed to an actual deal, especially if the meeting with Dwight Howard doesn't particularly go well and there's that open roster spot. Garuba might just get a guaranteed contract. I think he's going to be he's really going to make a name for himself here. But yeah, the Dwight Howard thing, interesting. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not. I have no issue with it. But like you mentioned, it was rumored for a few years now. Def Piece, I mean, he's not even the biggest center. He's maybe 6'11". I mean,
yeah, he's still a good rim protector. I still think he'd be one of the better ones in the league. He's 37 now. He's definitely a bit older. I mean, but yeah, like you saw the role he played on the Warriors or the Lakers, man. I mean, he still can do things like that. I mean, he's obviously never going to be the same like he was, no doubt. But he definitely can rebound still. He can definitely rim protect, obviously. I mean, he was great for the Lakers. He played phenomenal next to AD. And I know that I think he had a rougher year last year in LA, if I'm not wrong. The whole team struggled, so it's hard to just pin it on him.
AD
was hurt. Yeah.
Yeah, it's that Westbrook year. So it was a bit of a weird year. I think he kind of got a bad rep after that, and then he went to Taiwan, obviously. But I don't think it's earth shaking, if that makes sense. I don't think it's the craziest signing ever, but I like you said, I do think it's just someone else to get in there to help with rim protection. And I think why not? I mean, it was at times a pretty big issue to having someone larger on the court. I mean, how tall is Kevon Looney? Like 6'8"?
Kevon's 6'9", but he just can't really jump.
I mean, having someone like that would be probably pretty beneficial to have something that's actually like a realistic center type size. So I mean, I think it's,
and he's just an absolute physical beast.
Yeah, a lot of experience and still very athletic, still a crazy good athlete. So, I mean, no issue with it. I mean, I understand it. I get it.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. To me, that like my best way for this to go would be like, okay, it was a good workout. We don't want to sign you yet. We want to take a couple months, see what Kuminga looks like with Chris Paul, see if there's improvement there. We want to see what Trace looks like. with Chris Paul, with the starting lineup, see what that kind of looks like. And we want to see what Garuba looks like. Because if we're good, then we don't really need Dwight. Well, Dwight's just going to take minutes from other guys. However, if it's like, okay, Kuminga did not take the step forward, Garuba looks okay, but not like good enough to where we can really justify playing him 10, 15 minutes, and Trace doesn't look ready yet, then Dwight makes a lot of sense. But right now, Trace, 4-year college guy, had a great summer league. He's someone I think is going to make an immediate impact. 6'9", but could jump through the roof, can handle the rock, could get down. Like, he could do a lot. He's a very skilled big man, shockingly. Granted, he only really has a left hand, but still, better than a lot of bigs in that regard. Kuminga, that's still the pet project of the team. And I don't want to see him get given up. Like, I don't want to give up on him yet. I think, again, like this, it's so dependent on Chris Paul on how he chooses to approach this season, because Chris Paul can, just absolutely help Kuminga ascend. Just finding good looks. I don't think the Warriors haven't had a guy like Chris Paul who could just like dice up a defense as easily as he can. So
man. I mean,
yeah,
that is a risk there, taking away minutes from those two young guys right there. But
yeah,
you are, like you said, you are contending. I mean,
yeah, you're right. It's a difficult decision to make. So
you're trying to capitalize on Steph's windows, so I understand it. But could be ruining development of some younger guys. But at the end of the day, that might be worth it if it comes with a ring.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see what happens there. It's intriguing for sure. All right. Last but not least, we got the Boston Celtics. A couple pieces of news here. Starting off, we just talked about him with the Kings here. Neemias Queta finalized a deal, a 2-way contract with the Boston Celtics. Obviously, with the Kings the last couple of years since he got drafted, Kings just letting him go. So Boston's taking a chance here. I think it's a good signing. I mean, we've seen Porzingis just staying healthy, and Robert Williams staying healthy. It's a big issue. Blake Griffin does not seem to be going back to the Celtics. So so he's off there. So they're kind of hurting for some big man depth. I mean, I know they've got Horford still, but he's only getting older.
He is. I don't know how, but he still brings it, man.
He had a great year these past couple of months.
He's getting better at his age, but I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's hopefully kind of just a precautionary signing, but just kind of you're kind of playing with fire here if you're Boston. So we could see a lot from Queta this year for the Celtics, but. Any further thoughts there? I mean, that's just what it seems like to me, is kind of precautionary.
I think, like you mentioned, it's a depth signing. I mean, they did it a few weeks ago. I think it was speed too. I think they have a lot of worries, I guess, with injury history of these guys, which I can't blame them, man. They've had Kristaps has had a very long rap sheet of injuries, man. And Robert Williams last year missed a lot of time. So I mean, I understand it.
He's had a lot of knee stuff, yeah.
And the year before he even missed some time too. And I believe also in college he missed time. So I mean, that's not the healthiest guy, but I think it's a very much so just needing for big men and grabbing big men. I mean, I no issue with it. It makes sense. I get it. I mean, Horford, like you say, he is only getting older, as good as he still is, which is very odd, but
yeah.
It's sooner or later, man, he's gonna start declining. It's just how it goes, man. I mean, I understand it, and I like the signing. I think getting in younger guys, they did it a few years ago with Moses Brown, didn't work out. I mean, they're solid at developing younger guys, I'd say at times. So why not?
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely feeling like a depth, precautionary thing, and we've talked about Queta kind of being an interesting player. He's got a lot of strengths, but nothing that's really going to jump off the sheet for you. So, granted, again, depending on the health of the Celtics, a lot of him, it could turn into like a Naz Reid situation where it's like, oh shit, this dude is nasty, so there's potential there. But to the big kind of blurb here from the Celtics, this comes from the Celtics Wire USA Today newspaper online, as Dom sent to me earlier. Veteran Boston Celtics reserve guard Malcolm Brogdon's silence over the course of the NBA's offseason and his undisclosed injury status raises questions about his readiness for the season to come and his reported discontent with the ball club after nearly being dealt to the Los Angeles Clippers in the first iteration of the trade that brought Kristaps Porzingis to Boston. Will Brogdon be ready to play on opening night? Will he still be irked about nearly being shipped to a West Coast team just weeks after being named 2023 Sixth Man of the Year? Very interesting situation. It's not looking too pretty here for Boston. Again, we talked so much about how the Jaylen Brown signing genuinely is. I mean, that's a huge thing because
A lot of money.
again, they've made it clear that Jason Tatum is the guy. And if you're already given 300 over like 7 years to Jaylen Brown, you can't give less to Tatum. You just can't. That makes no sense.
Yeah.
Like, you can't say Tatum's the guy and then pay Brown more than you're going to offer Tatum. So a lot of money, a lot of money is going to be wrapped up in a couple guys here. And, Malcolm Brogdon, now he's not feeling too good about things. Again, nearly got traded there. It very nearly went through.
Yeah.
And, I get why he'd be pissed. I mean, the Clippers are sort of like just a dumpster fire of a team as far as will they contend? Will they not? So I get him feeling some type of way about hey, man, I just helped you guys big time here. What the fuck,
Yeah.
So, who knows? We've talked quite a bit about how Brogdon could do a lot for a team like Miami, for a team like Philly, who are probably or potentially, eyeing Damian Lillard. And you don't want to give up the farm. Philly, obviously, James Harden could be out the window, or out the door here soon. So this is an interesting situation, interesting development. What are your thoughts here about Malcolm Brogdon?
I mean, man, yeah, like you said, Sixth Man of the Year. He provides so much for this team, so much production. And it just seems like they have so many guys that produce, but this is one of the only guys on that team that has the best ability to play make for others and create opportunities for others. And even at that, he's not the best at it. He's nothing special at it, but he does the job. He gets it done. He creates so many shots for his teammates that this team lacks so badly. And this would be a horrible loss. If this happens, this would be devastating for that team. And I don't know how they would be able to figure it out. I mean, they capitalized on Marcus Smart, I would say, and they traded him when his value was higher. And it's just, they're at a point where these guys, they're getting paid so much that they're going to have so much money just wrapped between these two. I don't know how it works. I don't see how it works. Getting all of them locked up, keeping this core that's phenomenal. They have a phenomenal team when they're all healthy. Everyone knows this. They were number one in the East last year. Everyone knows they're a great team. Or they 2 or 1?
They were 2. I think Milwaukee snuck in and won.
You're right. They were 2. They were a phenomenal team the whole year. They were one of the best teams to start off the year last year. But then they started to cool off when injuries came, and I understand it. I mean, Malcolm Brogdon isn't the most healthiest player, but he is definitely one of your most important players for that team. And I mean, it's not an easy feat to win Sixth Man of the Year. So I mean, losing that much bench production and who knows what for, because his value is probably going to be down after this injury has been. I mean, I don't even know what it is. And like you said, he hasn't been communicating with the team. I have no clue what this is, because I know it was the reason his physical came up bad and the reason why the trade didn't go through. So that's kind of something to look at also. I mean, you're trading him probably for less than what he's actually worth. So
yeah,
it's a lose-lose situation, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, and we we're just talking about Chris Paul. It's like there's currently a struggle of, is he coming off the bench? Is he starting?
Yeah,
he wants to start, but it's like, bro, you're pushing 40. Come off the bench. You're not better than Steph. Just stop. You're not gonna throw Wiggins on the bench. You're not gonna throw Loon on the bench. It's rare to have a guy that's as good as Malcolm Brogdon say right now, I'll let Derek White start over me.
Prime.
And he's saying Derek White can start over me. It's like, it's rare to find a guy who's like for the team that much. Yes. Granted, I mean, in all fairness, he could be pissed about that too. We haven't heard anything, But the fact that Marcus Smart was starting over him, and it's like Marcus Smart's a fantastic defender, one of the best perimeter defenders in the league. But realistically, should he be starting point guard over? No, he should. Malcolm Brogdon should be the starting point guard.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so for Brogdon to, as far as we know, not really complain about even Derek Whiteside, it's rare to find stuff like that. So this is not a good situation here for the Celtics. Again, a lot of their depth here, Al Horford being the big one who's been so key and crucial for this team the last couple of seasons. You don't know what he's going to look like. He's only getting older. Health is not he's not LeBron. So it's not like he's going to be pushing, 50 and still be like a top 3 athlete in the world. So, it's looking a little bit rough for the Celtics team. Robert Williams, the health, the first half of 2022, Robert Williams looked like one of the best defensive players in the league. And then the knee injury started piling up. Ever since then, obviously after the finals, he had to get surgery. He's struggled with that kind of stuff. Porzingis this is the first season this past year and since like his first couple Nick years where he's legitimately been healthy. It has not been great for Porzingis.
Not a common thing, man. Yeah, that's scary.
Yeah, Jaylen Brown has had some stuff. Jason Tatum has had some stuff. So it's, injuries are not in their favor. Depth is not really in their favor. They lost Grant Williams. Marcus Smart's gone. And now Brogdon. This is a very big year for the Celtics because as crazy as it sounds, this could kind of be the year where it all falls apart. We already saw it with the Kyrie years. It felt like, how the hell did this just completely flop? And it feels like that could be a situation the Celtics run into again, unfortunately.
That'd be tough.
Yeah, I it's crazy to think that it all kind of started with the Ime Udoka situation. So once Ime, started, literally fucking around, this whole thing kind of, came up into question. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, the Celtics have a ton of questions to answer here. And Malcolm Brogdon could be on the block soon. So this could really shake a lot of things up again, especially regarding the Damian Lillard situation and Miami. Because if you're Miami, if there's any sign that Malcolm Brogdon wants out, I'd be looking at Boston like, I'll give you Kyle Lowry and like, I don't know, Jovic and a pick. Right? Like, now I don't have to lose Hero. Now I don't have to lose. So it's like you could potentially get especially if like, again, we're seeing these players kind of be like, I don't want to play for you. And so teams are like, fine, I'm just going to take what I could get. Yeah. Brogdon might not, like you said, he might not net the trade we kind of think he should. So
price tag might be a little cheaper. Yeah. Maybe more teams call in for that. Maybe a team like Milwaukee would want a reunion. There's a lot of teams I think that could benefit from having someone like that on their team. So 50, 40, 90 guy at one point. He's as hell, dude. He has injury issues, sure, but he's efficient as hell offensively. So that is something that I would definitely be looking into on the trading block if this does become more of an issue going forward.
Yeah, and he's definitely a leader around the league. I think he was a part of the player union, if I'm not mistaken.
He was. Yeah, very smart guy. He went to law school.
Yeah. So this is for many reasons he's someone I think a lot of teams would look for. So it's gonna be rough for the Celtics here. Losing Brogdon is a big deal, and just one issue.
If he went, I swear to God, if he ended up on the Lakers somehow, man.
Don't even put that into the universe.
I don't want to say that, man. That might come to fruition. So on
a team-friendly deal too. He's 2 years, $24 million, baby. We'll give you 12. Yeah, I could see it at this point. Yeah, unfortunately. So
I need to shut my mouth. I don't want that.
Yeah, this is don't you put that on me, Ricky Bobby.
Yeah, I better not say anything else from that. But
yeah. So quite a bit of stuff happening across the league this last week. So some of it's major. Obviously, the Board of Governors meeting, that's pretty huge. That's going to be a lot. So
another team, the Suns.
Oh, that could look for Brogdon. Yeah, especially because they're starting Booker at point guard, correct? Yeah, that's that's gonna be a huge kind of like,
Question mark.
well,
Yeah.
is this gonna work kind of deal? So
Yeah.
it's a lot of teams, man. A lot of teams could be
A lot
looking
of teams
here.
could benefit, man. That's a lot of teams could benefit from a Brogdon type.
Could you
I don't
see
know.
Brogdon for 8? Maybe. I
I
mean,
could. I could see Universe save Aiden, and then you attach. Who knows?
I mean, because you could stretch the floor with Porzingis, so it's like you could run Aiden and Porzingis at the same time and have it sort of be a cat
Maybe you
Gobert
attach Robert
thing.
Williams with it. Like I don't
Yeah,
know. There's a lot of stuff you could do. Yeah, because there's a lot of trade scenarios there. Because yeah, Brogdon, he will definitely if he goes on the trade market, man, and with his value being what it is, I don't know if it's the greatest. I mean, I think he'll definitely be sought after by a lot of teams.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I
Yeah.
mean, even the Nets could use a
Hey,
Malcolm Brogdon. So
I mean,
it's
I don't think there's any team that couldn't, man. I'm being honest.
yeah. I mean, maybe like the only teams I could think of that are probably like no thanks, but thank you for the offer is probably Portland at this
Yeah.
point because they've got Scoot and Simons and
Yeah.
maybe I mean maybe the Rockets because they've got Jalen Green and Amen Thompson or
Yeah.
Detroit. There's very few teams that wouldn't want a Malcolm Brogdon. So
Yeah.
um, yeah,
There's a lot, man. There's a lot of teams that could definitely benefit from having something like that. I saw the Mavericks were a team also that was interested with
oh,
something like that.
they don't get it. They don't get it. It's like, bro, stop getting scorers. Get defense. It's like it's the same fucking thing. You guys have
Yeah.
the easiest team to build. It's like it blows my mind. It's like, no, we're gonna take Kyrie. It's like, oh my god, dude. They are killing Luca, I swear. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, before I get into rant mode, we'll wrap this thing up here. Yeah, so not too much around the league, but a couple big things. Again, the board of governors meeting regarding resting players, and then Malcolm Brogdon's status with the Celtics. A few signings across the league, some meetings to occur here, a couple waves, but nothing too crazy. We're getting closer and closer to training camp here. I think it's like a week and a half, 2 weeks away.
Yeah.
So we're turning the corner here into the NBA season. So
Big time.
more and more stuff can happen. We could see a lot of triggers being pulled here as far as trades go. So
Yeah.
I did see a tweet recently about progress being made between Portland and Miami. So again, this Boston news could alter that a bit. So we'll see here.
We'll see, man. That'd be interesting. That'd be very, very interesting. I don't know.
Yeah.
They've stalled a lot as of the last few months, I would say. But yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, so that's gonna do it here. As always, thank you, Dom, for showing up. We've in the moment hoops will be in the description. Make sure to check them out. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe on their stuff. And if you like the content here, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Same thing. Next week we'll be posting again, but unless anything absolutely absurd happens, then we'll talk about it. But probably going to be back here Sunday. So see you guys then. Have a good rest of your weekend. Enjoy some football, and we'll see you later. Peace.
Sounds good.